Frederick Douglass, his book, he made an observation on American Christianity. And he had a problem with that, as we made known in the previous video. He had a problem with Christianity that he viewed, or he was able to encounter and experience. And one thing I love about him is the type of discipline that he had to distinguish what he knew was true Christianity from what he was actually experiencing. That takes a very true discipline to maintain your level of character whenever those people that are responsible for introducing the expected character of people of integrity, when they themselves actually degrade themselves to a level that is not compliant with their own doctrines. And so Frederick Douglass had an issue with American Christianity. He was able to distinguish this type of Christianity from true Christianity. He compared American Christianity to teaching that Jesus had when referring to the Pharisees and referring to those ones who sat in Moses' seat. And this is what Jesus said about the Pharisees. He said, the experts in the law and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. Therefore, pay attention to what they tell you and do it. But do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they teach. And this is what Frederick Douglass, compared American Christianity to. He compared them to the Pharisees of Jesus' day. He said American Christianity is exactly what the Pharisees were in Jesus' day. And basically saying that they were hypocritical, and essentially they were ones that preached good doctrines but didn't in return obey their own doctrines. And I guess I want to read a few portions of this out of his book to help us understand where he's coming from. He says, the man who robs me of my earnings at the end of each week meets me as a class leader on Sunday morning to show me the way of life and the path of salvation. He who sells my sister for the purposes of prostitution stands forth as the pious advocate of purity. He who claims or proclaims it is a religious duty to read the Bible denies me the right of learning to read the name of the God who made me. He who is the religious advocate of marriage robs whole millions of its sacred influence and leaves them to the ravages of wholesale pollution. The warm defender of the sacredness of the family relation is the same that scatters whole families, surrendering or sundering husbands and wives, parents and children, sisters and brothers, leaving the hut vacant and the earth desolate. We see the thief preaching against theft and the adulterer against adultery. We have men sold to build churches and women sold to support the gospel, and babes sold to purchase Bibles for the poor heathen, all for the glory of God and the good of souls. So you see the contradiction. They're preaching one thing and doing the opposite of what they preach. And this becomes a problem because whenever you're a slave, you're at the hand of these ones who seemingly preach a good message and preach a good exposition of Scripture, as we would say, and their actions are not suiting up to what true Christianity is all about. Well, let's read further what he says. The slave's auctioneer's bell and the church-going bell chime in with each other, and the bitter cries of the heartbroken slave are drowned in the religious shouts of his pious master. Revivals of religion and revivals in the slave trade go hand in hand together. The slave prison and the church stand near each other. The clanking of fetters and the rattling of chains in the prison and the pious psalm and solemn prayer in the church may be heard at the same time. The dealers in the bodies and the souls of men erect their stand in the presence of the pulpit, and they mutually help each other. The dealer gives his blood-stained gold to support the pulpit, and the pulpit in return covers his infernal business with the garb of Christianity. And he says further, here we have religion and robbery, the allies of each other, devils dressed in angels' robes, and hell presenting the semblance of paradise. Now, we will look at this and say, how awful is that? How awful is it for a man to preach against adultery and then commit adultery? How awful is it for a man to preach against the division of the family unit, but then sell slaves that are splitting up families